Hello, welcome to In My Experience. I'm your host, Sonya Lee.
And I'm Piperlyne, and we are so excited to have you here with us today.
So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we've been kind of tossing that around a little bit. And since this May, we haven't made up our mind yet, but it's getting close to the last podcast of the year, we thought, why not look at this year? And more specifically, what will have occurred the day before by the time this drops.
Right. We're looking at, I don't know if you've heard about it, but the Bethlehem star, or various other names that it's called, the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter in the southwestern sky. For astrologers, it's in Aquarius, landing right on the solstice. And I don't know about you, I'm looking forward to running out there to look at it. I mean, I guess it is like physically the closest it's ever, those two planets have ever been since 1226.
Yeah, something like that.
So they're expecting it to be just an amazing thing to look at in the sky without even getting into any type of meaning. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I've been going out and looking at it. It's in the southwest sky just after sunset. And so I've been going out every night for the last couple of nights. I didn't see it last night because we had a little bit of cloud, which is why my voice sounds a little rough today. And seeing it coming closer and closer and closer together.
How I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's just going to appear. No,
yes.
Of course.
No, and it's very interesting because when I looked at, I've been watching it all summer because it's been like a pair of eyeballs staring at you in the sky. It's like I go out there every night and I'm like, yeah, I see you, Saturn. I got eyes on you, Jupiter. Right? You watching me, I'm watching you.
Staring right back at you.
Staring right back at you. And nothing like challenging the big boys, right?
Why waste time?
Hey, let's do this.
Let's do it. Do it big.
So to see it coming together, like I was out there a couple of nights ago, and it almost looked like a little, teardrop necklace or something. Like there was a bigger star and then a little star sort of hanging from it. And because they were so close, when you see the reflection of the eye, it really sort of kind of sparkled. Like I have a pair of little earrings that it reminded me of. And it was pretty, of course I couldn't capture it with my camera because who can? Unless you have an actual real camera.
Right. Do other than photographers, does anyone have a real camera these days? I mean, phone cameras, they're amazing.
Yes.
But not
so good on the night sky.
Not to catch Saturn and Jupiter in the sky.
So other than just this great astronomical event, there's some interesting astrology that goes with this as well.
Right.
And I was listening to an astrologer the other day whose name is escaping me right now. Oh, Adrienne Elise. And she actually put a great Jupiter-Saturn conjunction video on YouTube. Mm-hmm. If you have a chance, go listen to it. It is so full of not only information about what's happening in the sky. She also went back and looked historically every time Jupiter and Saturn conjuncted and what happened. And the history is amazing.
Yeah.
And this is the piece that just really made me go, in fact, she even said, I'm not going to say what she said. You'll hear it if you listen. I don't want to alienate anybody on here. But she did say that, if you have any friends that, want to argue the point about astrology, just let them know that, there'd be no Jesus if there wasn't for astrology. Because the three wise men were actually Eastern astrologers who were told that their spiritual leader that was transitioning was going to be returning, and this is where they could find him. So they were actually in search of their spiritual leader and stumbled upon the baby Jesus.
Interesting.
Who was probably their spiritual leader.
Right.
Just saying.
Just talking about transitioning.
Right?
Yeah.
And I find it so very interesting where you see, if you study religion or religions at all, where you will see these same stories, pagan stories, replicated in the different faiths. Again, not to trigger anyone, I'm just telling you what I read.
Right.
These things, these stories sound very similar. Maybe the characters change, but the environments, the situations remain the same.
The story remains the same.
That's right. And, without astrology, there'd be no astronomy. We studied the stars for the signs and the messages long before we studied them for navigation or to understand them as just, big rocks out there in the galaxy. So I feel like in 2021 and through this conjunction, there's going to be a re-emergence of an interest in astrology again.
Yeah.
And of course, that's written in there too. We're going into air signs. So
Right.
air signs are, part of what's in the air.
Yes.
If I can be just literal about
Right.
that.
Just be very, very simple about it. And, and the technology.
Yes.
And the internet.
The web.
And everything connected to it. Social media.
Us doing this podcast.
Right. Communication. And all of that. It's something that I have been seeing over and over again is the moving, as Jupiter and Saturn both move out of the Earth, and their connections, their conjunctions, like what is happening on the 21st, start happening in air signs, which is what that means. That it's not that there aren't going to be challenges anymore, because there's always challenges. That's why we're here, but they are less focused on the physical plane, the Earth plane, the 3D. And they're going to be more focused on thought, intellectual property, internet, access to the internet.
Well, and it's Aquarius too, so there's collective energy here.
Right.
Less me, more we.
Yeah.
And that is also going to be a good change because, we've been through these different ages. We had the age of Aries and then the age of Pisces, and now we're moving into the age of Aquarius. And so, with that, and then I also heard once a long time ago that we are also moving from the solar plexus, which is the I am, into, or the solar plexus chakra, into the heart chakra, which again is, unity and unconditional love. So there is going to be, and I think this is great too, because we're seeing so much divisiveness and we're seeing so much individuation, and it's almost like, boy, did we do a great job in the age of Pisces learning to just be us individually. And now we get to see if we can be that I am collectively. And we've already had some glimpses, I think we're going to be okay. I mean, we made it. We didn't blow up.
We're
There
still
was no
here.
World War III, which
We're
I know
still
you
here.
and I, we heard that in school growing up.
Right.
So I kind of feel really positive about it. I think we're not done yet. And we're just beginning this age of air. So we got a long way to go yet. And yet here we are. We're standing right here on the precipice.
On the precipice. There is, for anyone who is interested in astrology and has their own chart, and you have not seen or heard about this somewhere else, this conjunction is happening at 0 Aquarius, Saturn and Jupiter, 0 Aquarius on the 21st. So if you want to get an idea of how this may be affecting you personally, look at your natal chart and find where 0 Aquarius is. And then in that sign, you're going to look at, and this is going to get deep, so go la 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 if this isn't for you. You look at the cusp of that house and find the ruler and see where that house is located, or where the ruler is, what house the ruler is located in. So I'll give you an example. 0 Aquarius is my 8th house. I use traditional rulers. Saturn rules Aquarius. That is in my 10th house. Therefore, the 8th house of other people's money, occult studies, investments is related to my 10th house, which is my career.
Good times.
So
You got some good stuff coming.
bring it on.
Right?
Other people's money. Bring me other people's money.
Hey.
So
you know.
anyway, that just gives a very, very simple idea. Now, I will tell you that if you are interested in more, Sonya and I have a group on Facebook called Awakened Pathways. And if you are interested in learning more, I am going to start a couple of conversations about it, sharing what I just said here in the group. So you can find us on Facebook, Awakened Pathway, and join us. And I'll be starting that conversation this weekend.
Nice.
You won't hear it this weekend. Darn it.
Well, maybe we'll post it early.
Well, there you go. You'll be able to see it when you join. When you get this message and you join, you'll be able to see it, and you can jump in any time.
If you join our Awakened Pathway community, I just found the solution. So we will post this in our Awakened Pathway community group.
Yes.
So if you join our community group, then you will get access to it prior to when it drops on Podbean.
There you go.
So there you go. Facebook Awakened Pathway community group.
There you go.
Okay.
So, moving on.
Tell us more.
The sign of Aquarius is about change. It's about moving into new areas of thought, experimenting, and the combination of Saturn and Jupiter together. Saturn brings restriction, but also structure and foundation, so things to build off of. And Jupiter brings expansion and opportunities for new, and it's just an overall positive experience when Jupiter is included into an aspect.
It's a big Buddha. Jupiter's the big Buddha.
There you go.
And didn't you say that both Jupiter and Saturn are like comfortable, like they're at home in Aquarius? Something to do with the rulership, and well, I know that Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius.
Right. So it's at home in Aquarius.
It's at home in Aquarius.
Jupiter is not. Jupiter is at home in Sagittarius
and Pisces. Yes. Okay. Well, and we've got the Sagittarian galactic crossover right before. So I think that's where I pulled in that Jupiter.
Gotcha.
Because before it hits the winter solstice, before it hits the eclipse, the conjunction, it's going to pass right past Saturn at the degree of the galactic center, which, from what I understand about this, is basically a wormhole or a portal to all galaxies. So
is it at 29 Capricorn?
No,
is that what,
it's at 23 Sagittarius.
Oh, Sagittarius. Okay.
So it will be passing through, and I had the transits up because I was looking at my chart with the transits, and this may not be the case for everybody, but like for me, as this is moving through, it's going to be passing right over the galactic center where it resides in my chart in the 6th house.
Oh,
so there's a lot of 6th and 12th house energies that are happening with this too, which makes a lot of sense because that's about service and that's about our soul's purpose, and there's a whole lot of things going on.
There's a lot of things going on.
So I don't want to confuse you. Let's stick with Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. Sorry. See what I do? I kind of go, ooh, shiny objects in the sky.
Let's talk more about that. So anyway, yes, if you'd like to have further conversations about astrology, then please join our community, and there'll be more conversations on there in the Facebook group.
Yeah. And Mercury's at play in this too, because it's right next to the sun as it's going through this. So there's going to be, depending on where you have your Mercury, I mean, this is a time for, people that have good aspects with Mercury, this is a time to let your voice really be heard. This is a time for new leaders to emerge and to bring new ideas. I mean, that's another great thing about moving into the air is we are, you know, we plant things in the earth to grow and create, and things die in the earth. And so I feel like with this transition that we've had all this year going back and forth, it feels to me like, you know, what are the ideas you have? What are you saying? What are you planting in the earth? What are you tending to in your garden? What's thriving? What's dying? Right? And just like when a flower blooms and then as it dies, it releases seeds, and then the wind catches the seeds and then it throws them into new areas so that we can then create new growth. So there's this whole sort of, you know, again, it's as convoluted as this year has been, and yet there is purpose and you know, everything happens in its rhythm.
Right.
Right. Someone else I was listening to the other day said that where we're at right now, because again, like I said, this is going to take a while before this really comes into fruition. We're the chrysalis. We are the caterpillar that has been in the cocoon and is now beginning to break free to emerge as the butterfly. And what do butterflies do? And again, caterpillar, earth, butterfly, air.
Air. That's right. That's right. So when it comes to this year and 2020 and all that has occurred, personally, worldwide, what do you think what kind of catalyst was it for you? What is it moving? What did it bring to you, positive or negative, that's causing you to make a change and move in a different direction, or possibly just move forward?
Or maybe it's not at all.
Or did it not?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you decided that there was no need for any change.
Or you're resistant to change. Not saying, I'm just saying. Sorry.
So, well, Sonya, what do you think? What do you think it was a catalyst for you?
Well, we've talked about this a bit. I mean, obviously, self-care has been a big thing for me this year.
Right.
And in that meaning, just taking care of myself, which, you know, is a hugely new concept for me, considering that I've been taking care of people and raising kids for most all my life. And not just raising my kids, but raising my parents. And so I understand that I am a caretaker, and I also have come to see that showing someone, it's sort of like that expression, you know, you can feed someone a fish or you can teach them how to fish. So by me demonstrating through my own growth and knowledge, just living my life in that sort of taking care of me and being the best me that I can be, that gets seen by those around me, which then allows for them to make their own choices without being told, without being dictated. And I think that there's been a lot in this year too where we've been told to do a lot of things, and I don't like to be told what to do. So I got to sit with that one too a little bit and say, what is that about with that Saturn in Capricorn, those structures, those frameworks? How do I want to be that Aquarian rebel and break free? And so I feel like for me, the biggest thing that I'm taking from this is just that I can only control what happens within my energetic field. And if I control what happens within my energetic field, then everything else just does what it does through its own natural processes. So I've learned to let go, and I'm still learning, but I'm learning to let go of a lot of those connections and attachments and restrictions. So working with the shadow, really, that's been my big thing. Working with the shadow, healing, clearing, loving,
shadow
learning.
dancing.
Yep.
Shadow dancing.
How about you?
I I have, yes, absolutely. I have spent the majority of 2020, just like many other people, in my home. I work at home. Of course, there was a period of time, just like other people, where I did not work at all, because because of everything else happening. There was no need, or it didn't happen. So, and it's interesting because it's just like this year has been the culmination of things that have been occurring in my life over the past 3 years. So I've become more and more restricted. I've faced more and more health challenges. I've had to redefine caring for myself.
Yes.
Redefine what it is that I want. The type of work that I've been doing and seeing clients one-on-one I have been doing it for years in different ways, in different places. But I was coming to a place where that needed to change, and I didn't know how it was going to look like, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, I literally had nothing. For a number of years, I'm like, I have no idea where I want to go.
Yeah.
I don't know what I want to do. This isn't working for me.
I wonder if anyone out there can
anyone else feel
resonate with that one.
Anyone else feel that? I'm like, this isn't working for me. I mean, it wasn't so horrendous that I had to leave immediately, right? Whatever situation it was, but it wasn't working for me. So little by little by little, I saw myself either by choice or by force. I have had to make changes in the way I work and where I spend my time based off of my son's education and what was going on with school for him. Yeah. And I've had to pull him from school, and I lost caregivers and support, and then I didn't put him back in school. And so that required me going more and more internal. And that has really been the whole process for me over the past 3 years of becoming, and so 2020 just solidified it even more. So while people were, railing against having to stay at home or railing against having to wear masks or whatever, I'm like, I don't even care.
Right.
I've already been doing my own personal journey in this space, so I'll just keep my ass home, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, like you.
And then on top of that, like I mentioned last week, I broke my knee, and I literally, unless someone else drove, and even then it hurt, so I never went anywhere other than the doctor's appointment. But I didn't leave my house for 8 weeks because I couldn't.
Right.
So this has been a long process for me. But the good news is that over the past 6-8 months, I've gotten some real serious clarity on what I want to create in my life and what I want to have in my life and where I want to live and how I want to work and what I want to do. And I'm excited about that because I haven't had that for a while. And I thought part of that was going to happen this fall with an unexpected change in living situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, universe was like, no,
not quite yet. We both got the not yet.
Not yet. Yes. You were looking at a change that you'd been wanting for a while also.
Ooh,
yeah.
Patience.
Not yet. My son knows that well. I just heard him. Not yet.
Yes.
Not yet. So that's where I am. It was just an extension of the past couple of years for me, but within that enforced, quiet, alone time, there were things that came clear.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that. I'm very excited about that and where that is heading. And this podcast is the birth of this
because
process.
We started in the summer.
Right.
Like where we're coming into on the 21st, if you put a pin in it and pull the string back, it'll take you back to about July 25th.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we've had conjunctions that went all the way back to January 12th. But July 25th was like, boom, boom, boom. Are you figuring things out yet? We'll give you a little break, right? Like we're going to hit the bell, ding, ding, go to your corner, get a drink, you know, get a little coaching from your ringside coach, whatever. And then, boom, we had something else happen. I think it was October.
Uh-huh.
But that one really isn't going to compare. And then now here we are. This is the last and final. One last look. Are you paying attention? Because that's what this year's been about. Paying attention. This is why we've been in lockdown. So that we could slow down.
Right.
So that we could pay attention.
Right.
And that what that looks like is different for everyone.
Absolutely.
Right?
How you pay attention and what you're supposed to pay attention to.
Versus what you want to pay attention to.
Or what you have
Yeah.
Distracted yourself with.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
man, oh man, it is so easy to distract yourself. I don't know about you, but
yeah, I do
tell
it all
you
the
what.
shiny objects. And, you know, I look to it like a lot of the situations with people, and I'm still hearing about this, with, you know, people like being at home with their families, you know. And, yeah, I love these people. And do I have to be with them 24/7?
Right.
Well, okay. I'd start there. If you're looking for a place to pull a thread.
Right.
Because, again, what is it? Right? Like maybe you're recognizing that you value your alone time. And so now how can I find some balance in there? Because obviously we're going to be doing this for a while. It's not over just because the year's come to an end. They're not going to be like, everybody come outside. You're free. Ollie, ollie, oxen free.
Yeah, no.
So here's an opportunity to kind of look at that and reset. I know what they've said that there's been a huge increase in the number of divorces, which I'm sure they were only filed because courts aren't moving. So there weren't actually like divorces. And the, you know, a bit of, you know, domestic abuse, which is unfortunate. And a lot of loss and transition.
Right.
And all of these things, you know, are shocking. Like all of those things are things that are what they consider stress factors. Like if you study stress and stress management, it's divorce, it's death, it's taxes, it's loss of a job.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's a move.
Health issues,
You know, all these things contribute to things that create stress in our lives. And then, of course, you know, being stuck in your home, being isolated, not sure if you're going to find toilet paper, that also creates stress in your life. So there's been a lot of sort of fearful things. And within that, like, okay, so don't get stuck in the fear. Move through the fear. What is the fear bringing to you? What is the fear showing you?
Right.
What is the shadow showing you?
Right.
What is that quiet inner voice that you've been too distracted to hear all your life saying to you?
Right.
And for those of you that have been listening to that inner voice, what is it now not saying? Because I don't know about you, you know, there's not been a whole lot of communication. Part of that is my fault, because I've been like, I got it! And then the part of it is because I got to get it.
Right. It's for you
to decide.
Figure out.
You to choose.
Yes.
You to destiny.
Right.
I don't know what a present form of that word. Manifest destiny.
There
you go.
Yes, absolutely. There has been, and you and I have talked about it, there has been this sense of, well, there are absolutely karmic agreements that are still playing out worldwide, just within humanity right now. And in our personal lives too, there is also for me, I am feeling a sense of freedom coming in, as in some things have been addressed.
Yes.
Some things are being released. Some things, and so there is more, even in all of this, within me, there is freedom, a sense of freedom that is opening up for me, allowing me to see and feel opportunities coming into my life, or creating opportunities within my life.
Yes, absolutely. I have seen the same thing in a lot of, like, so I'm the sole provider in my house, and I also work for myself. And so there have been times, a lot of times, where I have worried about how am I going to take care of my family? How am I going to support my family?
Yes.
And that can create a great deal of stress. And this year, I realized that I was wasting a lot of my time worrying about the how.
Yes.
When the worry was taken from me because it was a restriction outside of myself. And this is the one good thing about me.
Out of our
I
control.
always take ownership of myself first before I look around to place blame somewhere else. I'm just made that way. And sometimes I don't ever leave myself.
Right.
Because there's always more than enough blame in there. What do I need to go outside and bother people with my blame? I'll just keep my blame inside.
But then that allows you keep the locus of control within your life, and it allows you to make the changes as you need.
Yes.
Because it is your life.
It is. And sometimes, though, you want to suck up all the blame in the room when you didn't spill that on the floor. Someone else did.
There you go.
Let them go get a paper towel and clean it up. So in any event, I share this because this was huge awareness for me this year in recognizing that I can just let go of the shore.
Yeah.
Because we're all rudderless.
Yeah.
Right? And in that moment, that my light bulb moment was, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be okay.
Right.
I've managed to be okay up to this point in my life, and I will manage to be okay until the day I leave this earth plane.
Right.
And so maybe there's someone out there that has that same concern, that same worry, and I just offer to you, let it go. And it's not easy to say and harder to do.
Right.
Because a lot of times we don't even allow ourselves the opportunity to say it, much less get to the point where we can dip our toe in it to check to see if the temperature is to our liking. And so the freedom that came to me through that was so wonderful. Like, I just wanted to get in my car and drive and never come back. Like, I almost took it to the extreme. Wait, what? I'm free? Oh, well, let me just go be free.
And I'm going to go.
I mean, I am a fire horse, so, you know. And no. You still have, you're still living in the 3D box for the moment.
For the moment.
I'm very quickly approaching I figured out a way out of the box. I'm like, you remember that movie from Kill Bill? And she was in the coffin, and her sensei, her master, had made her practice hitting the board super close, which she thought was just stupid, and her fingers were all bloody and whatnot. Except that it wasn't about her ability to be able to strike that object with enough force to do it. It was about the focus and the discipline to connect with the board in such a way that its will would yield to yours. And then when she actually found herself buried in a coffin, she was able to bust her way out. I mean, who gets out of being buried alive? Anyhow.
She did because she got training.
Because she got training. And that's, this is what this is all about, people. Training. Right. So you can beat your way out of your own box.
Oh, I like that.
I do too. That was kind of cool.
I like that. Very nice.
One more thing I wanted to share before I turn it back over to you is this great conjunction they're called a greater conjunction because it happens as this triad of planets are moving together, or they also are calling it a great mutation, and it's moving from Earth to air. This has been happening, this Earth to air, so it's been in Earth, it's been happening since 1802, and except for 1981. And then it's going to continue to happen until and then we'll be in air until 2219. So we are literally moving from one age to another.
Right.
So there's that. So, these great conjunctions, they're usually associated with like the rise and falls of kings and prophets, fighting for freedom, things like that, overcoming tyranny. I mean,
Right.
so big stuff.
Yeah.
And so maybe we don't have that sort of
Freedom
thing.
fighting.
Right. And maybe we don't have that going on. And I'm just going to say, maybe we don't have that going on right now. It's still big energy.
Right.
Right. So we can kind of look at that and go, okay, we no longer have kings and tyrants ruling us. Maybe we're our own king or tyrant. Ideally.
Well, and I think that's the most, going back to astrology, I think that's the most interesting thing for anyone who wonders about the usefulness of this knowledge or any sense of reality with this knowledge, is to look at things historically. Mm-hmm. Just like what you said, the large bodies out there in our galaxy moving around do equate to experiences on our physical Earth. And I would recommend for anyone who is interested in it to do some research between the historical astrological patterns and the history of the world, because they are there. And it's interesting. Now, of course, it always is related to, things happen, but how it affects us is always related to humanity and how we choose to respond to it, mm-hmm. and what we choose to do about it and how we choose to address it. And as we continue to evolve as humans, because we are,
right.
we have more knowledge than we have had a long time.
And more access to knowledge, more
Absolutely.
Access to global knowledge. Like, we are in such unprecedented times when we look at this from the astrological step. Like, we know it brings great cultural change, this great Saturn conjunction with Jupiter. And for the first time, we're not getting the telephone line story of events.
Right.
We can actually seek and find and ask the question in real time, right. from real people.
Right.
And that's powerful and that's freeing. If you think back historically, like I said, let's go back to 1226 when we last had this, right? Or 1801. Mm-hmm. People relied on information that was fed to them from their church, from their government.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Free access of information, and as quickly. Now, of course, we always have to pay attention as to where our information comes.
Sure.
And
check more than one source.
That's part
key.
of this too, right? Right? Because information is so easily accessible. Now, mm-hmm. we have to check as to whether it's valid, mm-hmm. appropriate, mm-hmm. correct,
sure,
supported. But outside of all of that, yes, we have. And if nothing else, 2020 has proven to so many of us also how much easier it is to connect, yes. Virtually, because how many people had to for school, for work, mm-hmm. holidays.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Grandma figured out the Zoom.
That's right. Grandma's got the Zoom down. Actually, that's true in our house now.
Yes.
But and I laugh about, in mentioning the nonprofit that I started years ago. We started it, the president and I started it. Mm-hmm. We've never met each other.
Right.
She's in Pennsylvania and I'm in Arizona, and we've never physically met. I have met two of our volunteers, mm-hmm. of our group of volunteers, because they flew to Arizona.
Yeah.
And pre-COVID, they flew to Arizona for a visit, and I met them then. Outside of that, I haven't met them. So I have seen the power of creating things without having anyone physically here.
Yes.
And I
Absolutely.
think, and you know, and I have joked about it. I think it's amazing. I think it's absolutely
I do too.
amazing. We started an international nonprofit. Just think, and now I'm sitting here personally myself, just think about what I can create
Absolutely.
moving forward. And I mean, that's one of when I talk about looking at, you know, and revisiting 2020 and the things I learned, that has empowered me
Absolutely.
personally. I mean, Sonia and I were talking about, you know, how we're excited because we're going to have access to a recording studio.
Yes.
Right? And that's great. That's amazing. It's wonderful. But you know what? I'll be honest with you. You know what we're doing right now? We are recording this in Sonia's RV.
Yep.
And that's because I live close enough that I could drive down and we can do this together.
I call it my she shed on wheels.
There you go. There you go. Her she shed on wheels. So we're doing this. That's how accessible electronics and communication has come to us. I've got my tablet.
Yep.
I've got my $100 microphone.
Yes.
And here we are.
Yes. Got my recording editing program that
There
I was
you
able
go.
to download from the website.
That's
Didn't have
right.
to go to a physical store and buy a physical disc that I had to physically load and upload. I mean, so many wonderful things. I feel one of the other things that have come to me this year, though, is how important the human connection is.
Oh, absolutely.
And technology and AI and virtual life isn't it isn't the panacea
Right.
for living here on Earth. It's a piece. It's a process. Maybe it's an experiment, right? Because I do believe, and I think that this is another part of this conjunction, is that we talk a lot, especially in the spiritual, about letting go of the ego, about being spiritual, not human. We're here to be human, though.
Yes.
We're here to be in human bodies and embody all the spirituality that we can and show, you know, embody unconditional love and learn and grow and evolve and ascend and all of those things. And so it can be very confusing. It can be very, which way am I supposed to go here? You know, and I get that. What I get is all of it.
Right.
Because anything else is a limitation, right? So I say, I want to ascend because I think the 5D feels a lot better than the 3D. I'm not leaving the 3D plane, though, until I'm ready to leave the 3D plane.
Right.
So within that statement, I also recognize it's inconjunct. I love using that term. Because it is one of those things that cannot be resolved as long as I am here in a physical body.
Right.
Right?
This is true.
It's just how I'm going to relate to it within myself and without myself, meaning outside of myself.
Right. I mean, it's interesting for me, and once again, Sonia has had the same experience of, while we're talking about the expansion of communication, the ethers, the growth and development, and the experience of our spiritual selves, both she and I want to live somewhere physically beautiful, right? And have where we can just like enjoy the unbelievable physical beauty that is here and be in touch with the earth.
Right.
And live and be part and be able to feel the cycles of the planet that we're on, because our planet has natural cycles, and it is much more difficult to do that when you're living in a city of, I don't know how many millions we have
With
in
all
our
the
city
concrete. Yes.
Right.
6 million.
Right. So 6 million with all the concrete, and I mean, we work to turn off the cycles so that we can live this life of convenience that we have all, thought was the goal.
Yes.
Well,
I have to say, she said that all at 11:11, by the way. Continue.
Perfect timing. So then moving away from the artificialness that has been created and stepping into the natural physical world is such a longing in me. I mean, I can practically taste it. I know that this is where I'm supposed to go. I know that this is where I'm supposed to take my son. I know because I see it in him, his calm.
And it's not an
quiet.
escape.
It's not an escape. It's a desire to connect to this physical world. We are in physical body. There is an inherent connection because our bodies are made from this physical world.
That's right. And you had said last week that this is new for you, actually connecting with your physical body.
Oh yeah.
So
in all ways, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely. Yes.
That's just that next sort of, okay, great, now that I'm connected, this is what feels right for me. And like, I was living on the outskirts of town, and then I came to I made a move this year to support family, and so now I'm back in Tempe. And I lived in Tempe for 20 something years. I loved Tempe.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just so grown, and there's so much traffic, and there's so much, even the weather patterns are different from now to where when I was on the outskirts of town, which was closer to the desert floor, the night sky is different.
Right.
All of that is different because of, and it wasn't like I went that far. I went 12 miles.
Right.
And 12 miles made a difference.
But you've also changed since you lived here last time in Tempe, too. Right?
Please. I can't even tell you how much that change has happened.
Right.
And, and that was over the course of, well, it's been 8 years since I've been in Tempe. So, yeah, since 2012, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of this, too, we talked about this last week as well, right? 8 years. This is sort of all right, let's look at where we're at here. Mm-hmm. There are some aspects of the 8 which are the leader, which are the executive. Mm-hmm. And so, as being the executive of my own life, I'm looking and I'm taking ownership for where I'm at now in this 8th year since that break, that separation, and what's the same, what's different, what works, what doesn't work. It also has shown me that it's a confirmation of, yes, thank you. I'm 100% certain of where I would like to be.
I now know that.
Without question.
Absolutely.
And again, not a judgment, just for me.
Right.
Right? I don't know that even everyone in my family agrees with this.
Right.
And we've had those conversations too. There's a lot of we talk within the family, but I recognize everybody gets their own say and choice.
Yes.
Right? So what are you going to choose? And to choose differently than those that you share a domicile with,
it's big.
It's big, and it's important because I recognize that the purpose might be to show someone that this isn't where you're supposed to be anymore.
Yeah.
That it's time for you to stop just tolerating or accepting or enduring your present state, to make that break and do something different. And we have so much judgments on people on that. But I have always said that if you can be happy within yourself, then that's going to ripple out to everyone else. And ultimately, people are going to be happier that you're happy.
Right.
As opposed to staying and being miserable because you feel like that's the right thing to do. So that begs the question that I ask of you. Really ask yourself, what is the right thing to do? And then add, for me. Right.
Well, I feel like I have spent all of 2020 figuring out that answer. I mean, honestly, not intentionally.
Yes.
It is just what was brought to me.
Yeah.
So that's what
I
I
did.
did.
Many thoughts you had while you laid in bed for 8 weeks.
My recliner, not in bed.
Okay.
My recliner has a permanent butt indent from me sitting in it every single day for 8 weeks. So more than anyone wanted to know, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
So 2020 is on its way out, and it doesn't mean that we're going to wake up January 1st, 2021 and everything will have changed, because that's not true. It just won't. But astrology shows us that many of the very hardcore experiences that we've had in 2020 are easing up in 2021. They're not disappearing, and it doesn't mean that there aren't going to be more struggles and challenges.
Sure.
But it is absolutely easing up. So then it's up to us to take whatever we learned from 2020 and use it for our health and well-being into 2021.
Yeah, and recognizing too that with this conjunction on the winter solstice, this is a releasing.
Yeah.
This is a time for, embracing the shadow, releasing the judgment, releasing the things that you don't want, and allowing yourself to, through that release, have, an opening. Right? Or new fertile soil, or whatever, way you want to look at it. Clearing off the table so you can set it for dinner, whatever, right? And so that's another big, wonderful part of this is that, it's the big purge. So go ahead, purge.
We've been talking about the winter solstice, and it just hit me that there may be someone listening who isn't completely aware. So just some really simple facts. The winter solstice is considered the shortest day of the year, which means it's the darkest time of the year. And it is to join together to celebrate all that has occurred, that the fact that you have made it through to this point, to be in community and together, so that, or going within yourself to then decide what you will keep, what you release, understanding that looking forward begins time of opening up, and the days start getting longer.
Yes.
And light, there's more light every day. I think it's a minute a day.
Yes.
And of course this is truer for those people who are further away from the equator.
Yes. Right, because in other parts of the world it's summer, not winter.
Right.
So
this is true for us in the northern hemisphere, and especially the further you are from the equator. So that's what this experience is. That's what this meaning is. It is the 0 degree of when sun goes into the 0 degree of Capricorn. So it is also the next step in a cardinal sign, which is also, again, cardinal is about action and movement and creating new and so on and so forth. All of our seasons, spring, summer, winter, and fall, traditionally start on the 0 degree of a cardinal sign. Yes. So winter solstice is Capricorn.
And having this 0 degree conjunction is like everything is coming to that 0 point. It's most auspicious.
It's very powerful.
It's very
a 0
powerful.
Degree. For Saturn and Jupiter in 0 degree Aquarius conjunction. So anyway, that's the whole idea around solstice for those who aren't aware or haven't studied. And there's much more meaning out there, but just generally. So the fact that we are moving into this period of the longest night and the darkest day, and moving out of that in conjunction with this very powerful experience between Saturn and Jupiter, doesn't mean that you're going to feel this oh my gosh on that day either, because you may not. These are long term. This is a long term thing. Saturn and Jupiter conjuncting, and so it may take weeks, months,
Sure.
for you to feel anything.
It's
but
a 20-year cycle.
Right.
So whatever is happening now is going to be with you for the next 20 years.
Right.
So I'll throw that out there too.
Setting intentions of what you want to create.
Yes. Yes. How do you want to live your life for the next 20 years?
Right. I mean, Saturn is
You get
manifesting.
A say. You get a say.
You get a say.
Jupiter is taking that manifestation and making it bigger. So always add this or something better.
Or something better.
For the highest and good of all. And then you covered all your bases. One thing I wanted to just add that Adrienne Elise had said that I just thought was beautiful. So she talks about this 200-year cycle shift happens just before the solstice, and we are rewriting time and history. A new world lies ahead. So you're being reminded that you are fully prepared for this epic moment. It's time to buckle up, set your course towards the Most High, and sit back and enjoy the ride. The time has come. You are being invited to land more fully in your spiritual truth on earth and remember who you really are. It's time to come into your star power. And I just thought that was perfect.
That's lovely. That's lovely.
So,
all right. Well, then with that, I think we are good.
I do too. Check out anything that you might, if you want to do any further research, and if you're having a hard time finding something, shoot us an email and we'll be happy to direct you. It's inmyexperience1111@gmail.com.
And you can visit our website, which is inmyexperience.life, where we have the podcast list along with Podbean.
Yes.
So you can look all of that up. And then I'll just mention again, Awake, where Facebook group where we will be having some conversation.
Yes,
further.
and I will get that up by the 20th so that it'll be there for everyone. So don't, please go join up. And if you can't get to it today, then we will put it up a day or two early before. We'll definitely put it up there before Solstice. So that information is available. We'll have some links to all the things we talked about in the on the post as well. And
in the comments on YouTube.
Yes, YouTube. And if we don't, well, I guess we won't, because it'll be after. Whatever you celebrate it well.
And there are so many holidays to celebrate right now.
And we honor them all because we know that all of them come together is what makes the beauty of the collective us. So with that, happiest of holidays and so much love. I'm Sonya Lee.
Wishing you well, wishing you joy, and wishing you peace. I'm Piperlyne. Thank you for joining us.